channel. I'm really happy and excited to be putting this video out here finally. In my last YouTube video, I did express that Blake and I are trying to have a baby, or we were, and we've been unsuccessful. So I just wanted to go a little bit more into things and update you guys on what's been happening with my health. I think it's so important for women out there to be aware of what has happened to me, only because it might help you guys a little bit. So especially if you are trying to have a baby, I definitely go and get these things checked, because I honestly I didn't even think to go and get things checked. You know, I'd gotten the all clear in March, so we started trying in February, but I got the all clear in March and things turned around really quickly, and it wasn't something I thought I should track or go to the doctors and ask, can you check this, this, and this, and this. It wasn't until I started having some pretty bad symptoms, which led me to the hospital, and that's when everything unfolded. So let's backtrack a little bit. All this kind of unfolded about 6 or 7 weeks ago. What happened was I was actually experiencing heart palpitations. So I could hear my heartbeat, literally hear my heartbeat. It was just like I couldn't even sleep because it was so loud and so strong, and I was really out of breath, and very just symptoms that I've never had before and I've never experienced. I thought I was like having an anxiety attack or something, but definitely not. So I actually have a blood pressure monitor here at home. So I was doing my blood pressure, and yeah, my heart rate was, what was it? My heart rate the first time was like just over 100, and you're normally meant to be under 100, where my normal heart rate, like a resting heart rate, sits at around 60. So for me to be up at 100, it should mean that I'm like starting a workout or something like that, which I wasn't doing. And how this all unfolded was my great grandma actually suffered a stroke. So I was actually in the hospital visiting her. She's all good now, by the way. She's at home. She's doing great. So yeah, I was actually visiting her in the hospital with my mum, and I just started to feel so faint. I was so I wanted to vomit. I just was, yeah, I could hear my heartbeat. I just needed to sit down. I just wasn't okay. And my mum thought that maybe I was pregnant, obviously because I wanted to vomit and I was feeling lightheaded. And apparently when you do become pregnant, your hormones change, or if you're in the stage where the implantation stage, where the egg's trying to implant, you do feel kind of these symptoms as well. So we were all thinking I was pregnant, but it was the total opposite. So that was just an emotional roller coaster. But pretty much the nurses that were looking after my great-grandma, they actually said, look, you don't look too well. So they actually sat me down next to my great-grandma, poor thing, she had no idea what was going on. And they did my ops, so they did my blood pressure, tested my heart rate, they even did my sugar levels. My sugar levels were fine. They did my temperature was fine. But yeah, my heart rate then, when I got to the hospital, was actually sitting at 126. So pretty high for me, considering I was literally just standing up or sitting down or literally doing nothing. So they actually got me in a wheelchair and rushed me straight down to emergency. This is where it all started. So pretty much they asked if I had had any problems with my thyroid in the past. Now, let me stress this to you. I am someone that checks my thyroid quite often. So obviously with having endometriosis, thyroid is like a hormone as well. So the doctors are checking my thyroids, all my hormones and all that quite regularly. So the last time that they checked all my hormones and my thyroid function was in March, and everything was fine, all clear. They looked back on previous histories of blood tests, and all my thyroid levels have been fine. Normal, completely normal. And all of a sudden, my thyroid levels were sitting 4 times too high. So that came as a real big shock. They wanted to start me on thyroid medication straight away. And especially thyroid medication to decrease your levels and to bring it down is not good when you're trying to fall pregnant. So this is where all this came into play. Another thing is that falling pregnant when your thyroid is overactive, so too high, is so dangerous for the baby. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that I didn't fall pregnant, but this could also be the reason why I wasn't falling pregnant, because it's very rare that you fall pregnant with an overactive thyroid. So this is where we were in a debacle with the doctor at the hospital. Pretty much wanted to put me on thyroid medication straight away and send me home. Problem is with the thyroid medication, for when it's overactive, it's really hard to get off. So that was a red flag to me, because this thyroid medication can cause birth defects, stillbirths, and miscarriages. They said it's very rare that I will even fall pregnant. Emotions were very high at this stage, and I was just crying and I didn't know what to do. And then they also wanted me to get tested for something called Graves' disease. Now, Graves' disease is another disease that there's no cure for. So to me, I was just like praying to the gods that I did not have Graves' disease, because that's just like, you know, endometriosis, there is no cure for it. Graves' disease, there is no cure for it. And my percentage of being able to fall pregnant is already quite low due to endometriosis and the time limit that I have to have my babies. It's really time for me to start getting the ball rolling with falling pregnant. So Graves' disease and endometriosis put together, like there's pretty much no babies in my picture. So obviously Blake and I were very just up in the air, didn't know what to do, very emotional. I was emotional wreck. I was crying all the time. But I really wanted to get a second opinion. I just feel like second opinions are so important with any sort of medical condition. I know I definitely got like 3 opinions for my endometriosis, so I wasn't going to just take one opinion and leave with it. They did also put me on heart rate medication. So I was taking heart rate medication 3 times a day just to try and, you know, get my heart rate back to a normal level. But problem being is with this heart rate medication, it can also drop your blood pressure. So I wasn't allowed to drive. I was put on bed rest I'm still on bed rest. Yeah, I've been on bed rest for 6 weeks now. If we raise my heart rate any higher, there's a good chance that I could have a stroke or just have like, like a heart attack. So we needed to have me on bed rest, no stress, just literally doing nothing to elevate my heart rate. And the plan was I was to see an endocrinologist. So they specialize with the thyroid. I ended up finding a really good endocrinologist. I went to see him. He's the one that put all this in place. So the bed rest, the heart rate medication, and he was also going to be testing my levels every 2 weeks, my thyroid levels. I also needed to be tested for Graves' disease. So I needed to have a nuclear scan done. They inject nuclear, it's not like a dye, but like they inject nuclear into me and then they kind of see what's happening with the thyroid. Then they actually diagnosed me with something called silent thyroiditis. So I don't have Graves' disease, which is just amazing. Amazing. I was so happy. But the reason they call it silent thyroiditis is because I don't feel pain. So I don't have any pain in my thyroid at all. In my throat, I don't feel any pain. And I feel fine, but obviously with like my heart rate, like that was kind of the only real downfall why like I didn't feel well and just a bit nauseous and stuff, but like I wasn't in any pain. So yeah, we were getting my bloods done every 2 weeks. So it was still too high, but they came down. So it was coming down on its own. Obviously my specialist knew that I wanted to fall pregnant and was in the middle of trying. But we had to put a stop to that because it's just not safe. Especially if I happen to fall pregnant, it's just not safe for the baby. So we had to stop trying, but him knowing that I really wanted to keep trying, and Blake and I have been trying since February now, he didn't want me to put me on thyroid medication. So I was so thankful that I did end up getting a second opinion, and so important. That just made me realize even more how important getting a second opinion is. So yeah, my thyroid levels were dropping on its own, which is such a good sign. So they just think that my thyroid was maybe attacked by like a virus or something. That's really the only explanation that I was given. So I just had to wait it out. I was just on bed rest. I'm now sitting at a point where my levels are close to being back to normal, which is so exciting. But they do need to make sure that I don't do a 360 and my thyroid doesn't drop too low. So I'm still monitoring a blood test every 2 weeks. And we do need to make sure that when it does drop too low, that I am put on thyroid medication after that. So when your thyroid is too low, that medication is safe to have when trying to fall pregnant. So my thyroid being too low is okay to fall pregnant, but if it goes back to overactive, I can't try anymore. So we just have to monitor where it's going to go. Is it going to go high again? Is it going to go low again? Is it going to go normal? We just don't know these things. And I guess I just have to be patient in that process, but I just, it's been a whirlwind of emotions. 1 minute they're saying I have Graves' disease, and then next minute they're saying that it's fine and it's going to go back to normal, and it's been a lot. But I feel like it's so important for women out there to go and get their thyroid checked, especially if you are experiencing like heart palpitations and not being able to fall pregnant, and just it's so important to get everything checked and cleared and get regular checkups. I don't know what exactly caused this to happen, but I've been doing lots of research myself. Foods high in iodine, a lot of stuff in seafood. So shellfish, crab, oysters, some other things. I'm allergic to all that anyway. I'm allergic to shellfish. So to me, I was not even like, I don't even have iodine in my diet very much. But one thing which I'm so glad I have checked and I realized before I even took it again, I was starting to get a sore throat, and every time I started to get a sore throat, my doctor told me to gargle betadine mouthwash. So here I had a bit of a sore throat and I was gargling that religiously. He told me to do it 3 times a day. Totally fine. So I was gargling, that 3 times a day, especially leading up to all this happening. I was starting to have a bit of a sore throat. It was winter here in Australia and I was not for getting sick. So I was gargling betadine mouthwash, and I actually was starting to get a sore throat after I saw my specialist, because he said, hey, you might get a sore throat with this thyroid thing. And I was like, okay. So I didn't know if I was getting sick or if it was my thyroid, but just to be safe, I really wanted to gargle the betadine. Lucky I didn't. I looked on the box and it said, do not use if you suffer from thyroid disease or anything to do with thyroid, because it's high in iodine. I was mind blown. And then I was Googling, and we came across on their website that 1 in 10,000, guys, I'm 1 in 10,000. I could not believe this. It can cause 1 in 10,000 people to become overactive with the thyroid. So that was me. So we are all putting it down to this. So ladies, if you're trying to fall pregnant, please don't be gargling betadine mouthwash. Because it can send you to go overactive with your thyroid, and that just washes out all the plans. So that's just something to look out for, and I just wanted you guys to really be aware, and like if this happens to you, like it's something that I never thought would happen to me, and I don't know much about the thyroid, and I didn't know much about the thyroid, but now I know how important it is because there's so many hormones in there, and now I really do watch what I eat, what I put into my body, and I'll be checking everything out when I need to take supplements or medication and things like that, because you just don't know what it's going to do to everything else. But I hope that this video has helped you in some way. And look, I know there's a lot of women out there suffering with infertility, especially with endometriosis, and it has been rough. Like, I feel you ladies so much, and it's just one of those things that, I've tried to be patient with, and I continue to be patient with, but it's hard, and it sends your emotions all over the shop, and my hormones are everywhere, and you're just emotional all the time, and you keep beating yourself up about it. And like, to me, I just felt broken, like as a woman, like not being able to fall pregnant and having endometriosis and having a hormone thyroid problem. Like, I just felt broken as a woman. And I think the most important thing I learned was everything happens for a reason. Obviously, this wasn't the right time for Blake and I to have a baby. This has happened for a reason. I don't know what reason it is yet, but I'm sure in the future it's going to come skyrocketing at me and I'm going to know exactly why this wasn't the right time. So we're staying positive. I know there's so many women out there who struggle with fertility problems, but then little miracles happen and they try and try for years and then it just happens. So Blake and I will hopefully start trying again to have a baby, but I do need to get the all clear from my specialist first. But we are crossing all our fingers and toes, literally. Hopefully we can start our little family soon, and I will definitely keep you guys posted about that. But I hope you ladies have found out some useful information and hopefully I was able to help you guys in some way. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.